Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Dao, Chapter 1181, Chapter. In the dim hush of that battlefield, where killing intent coiled like unseen serpents in the air, Shaiyuan stood tall with arrogance carved into every line of his face. Though his martial aptitude could not rival Zhao Lun's brilliance, his strength was by no means shallow. He was, after all, a core disciple, tempered through trials and bloodshed. With a low roar that echoed like thunder across the heavens, he struck. A massive hand of origin power descended from above, blotting out the sun itself. Its shadow swallowed the earth, its pressure like a collapsing sky. At the corners of Sha Yuan's lips curled a cruel, disdainful smile. What was a so-called prodigy of the Scarlet Heaven Academy worth before him? Genius? Freak? All meaningless. In this world, cultivation reigned supreme. Strength crushed all. Die! His intent was clear. He would seize that fleeting instant before Ling Han's soul scattered into oblivion, pry open his memories, and claim every opportunity, every secret fortune the other had obtained. Yet beneath that overwhelming pressure, Ling Han merely shook his head slowly, as if dismissing a child's tantrum. What threat could such an attack pose to him now? He puffed his cheeks slightly and exhaled. A simple breath. Pah! The towering hand that covered the heavens shattered instantly, disintegrating into countless fragments of fading light, scattering like dust in the wind. Silence fell. Then, crap! Sha Yuan and the others stared, their eyes wide, mouths agape, as though struck dumb by lightning. This was too absurd, a mere breath and such power? This wasn't just strength, it was monstrous. Could it be? Was he already in the Sun-Moon tier? But that was impossible. No one of the Sun-Moon tier could enter this place. Even if some great faction nurtured such experts, forced them to shatter their cultivation, then restored it through forbidden medicines, how could someone as young as Ling Han possibly have undergone such a process? No, impossible, Sha Yuan exclaimed, his face contorting with disbelief. He knew Ling Han better than anyone present. Pointing at him with a trembling finger, he shouted, "How could you possibly possess such battle prowess? This is absolutely impossible." Ling Han's gaze turned cold, his voice carrying a chilling calm. Sha Yuan, there are many things that seem impossible to you, yet they still become reality. A faint pause. For example, the fact that I will kill you. Had those words been spoken earlier, they would have been dismissed as the ravings of a madman. But now, after witnessing Ling Han disperse that overwhelming attack with nothing but a breath, the gulf between them had become undeniable. Sha Yuan snorted coldly, forcing down the unease in his heart. Fine, count yourself lucky this time. You can leave. Ling Han blinked, almost suspecting he had misheard. This man still thought he held the upper hand, granting mercy. Ling Han suddenly understood. In Sha Yuan's mind, this was still Point Star City. He was still the son of the great General Sha, backed by the towering might of a heavenly body tier expert. That identity alone made him untouchable, able to do as he pleased, to decide life and death. A faint chuckle escaped Ling Han's lips. Heh! What is it? Sha Yuan snapped, irritation flashing across his face. Why aren't you getting lost? He had already shown magnanimity. Shouldn't this bumpkin be groveling in gratitude and fleeing in terror? Ling Han shook his head slowly. Sha Yuan, in the past, I only thought you were arrogant, a tyrant, a spoiled young master. Sha Yuan's lips curled upward slightly, pride flickering in his eyes. So he had finally realized? You are a idiot, Ling Han finished calmly. The smile froze, then shattered. Sha Yuan's expression twisted, turning ugly in an instant. Rage surged like a tidal wave. He had not expected such a sharp reversal, such blatant insult. What exactly do you want? He demanded through clenched teeth. Nothing much, Ling Han replied, his tone light, almost casual. I just want to borrow your head. You're courting death. Fury erupted. Who was he? The son of a heavenly body tier elite. And this nobody from a small world dared speak of taking his head? Ling Han sighed faintly. If I continue speaking with you, even my intelligence might be dragged down, he said. You've said enough. It's time for you to die. You dare kill me? Sha Yuan's voice trembled, filled with disbelief. The thought itself was inconceivable. Ling Han did not answer. He simply raised his right hand. Power gathered silently, condensing like a storm ready to break. Beneath that calm surface, killing intent churned like a hidden abyss. First Sha Yuan, then Zhao Lun. All debts would be repaid, one by one, his finger flicked. A streak of sword light tore through the air, swift as lightning, aiming to cleave Sha Yuan in two. Pooh! Blood splattered. Yet Sha Yuan did not fall. A radiant golden light flared around him, enveloping his body. For a fleeting moment, he seemed like a war god clad in divine armor. Ling Han's eyes narrowed. He saw it clearly, a golden decree wrapped around Sha Yuan's form, shimmering with ancient power. It had activated at the crucial instant, intercepting the fatal strike, a protective decree, left behind by the great General Sha. You? How dare you? Sha Yuan roared, his voice shaking violently. The activation of the decree meant only one thing. He had been on the brink of death. He had almost died. You deserve to die, he bellowed. The decree could only activate when triggered externally, but now that it had awakened, how could he waste such an opportunity? He would use this power to kill Ling Han. He lunged forward, punching out with ferocious might. The decree surged, its energy transforming into a golden bull that charged forward with unstoppable force. Ling Han sighed inwardly. Why were these pampered young masters always so troublesome to kill? Just as the thought crossed his mind, ah! Sha Yuan suddenly groaned, his face contorting in pain. The golden light around him flickered erratically, bright one moment, dim the next, as though on the verge of extinction. The charging bull dissolved into nothingness. Ling Han paused, momentarily surprised. He hadn't even acted yet. Why was Sha Yuan suddenly suffering? Then realization dawned. Restrictions. This place imposed limits. The moment one's power reached the Sun Moon tier, it would be suppressed, even punished. Previously, the decree had only activated defensively, its power not exceeding that threshold. But now Sha Yuan had taken the initiative, drawing upon the decree's full might, crossing into the forbidden realm of the Sun Moon tier. Naturally, the suppression descended upon him. He had not harmed his enemy. He had harmed himself. Yet Sha Yuan understood none of this. In his mind, Ling Han must have employed some sinister demonic technique. Instead of restraining himself, he pushed further. The decree's power surged again. Ah! His cries grew more agonized. The golden decree trembled violently, cracks forming as if it would shatter at any moment. Pah! With a sharp, crisp sound, it finally broke apart, fragments scattering like shattered glass. The backlash struck instantly. Sha Yuan vomited blood wildly, his body reeling. Fortunately, he had not perished alongside the decree. His face was filled with confusion, terror, disbelief. What had just happened? Was this the consequence of activating a decree? He pointed at Ling Han, his hand trembling. What demonic trick did you use? How ignorant, Ling Han replied coldly, another flick of his finger. Shoo, sword light surged once more, slicing toward Sha Yuan. Stop! Ji Zhengping and the others rushed forward, intercepting the attack. But though Ling Han's strike appeared casual, his power had already reached 8 stars above the peak of the mountain river tier. Peng, 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 peng! All 4 were blasted away, sent flying like broken kites. Yet, because of their intervention, Sha Yuan narrowly escaped death. Ling Han stood calmly, his voice steady, devoid of emotion. If you wish to help him, I will cut you down together. His gaze swept across them, sharp as a drawn blade. So, who else wishes to stop me? The moment those words left Ling Han's lips, the air itself seemed to freeze. You are that mysterious man. The 4 disciples of the majestic heaven sect raised trembling fingers toward him, their eyes widening in disbelief. Only now did realization crash down upon them like a thunderbolt. This man before them, calm, unassuming, was no ignorant country bumpkin as Sha Yuan had mocked. He was the very same hidden expert who had wounded Ji Zhengping with a single arrow. Shock rippled through their hearts. Impossible. When had another king-tier prodigy emerged among the younger generation? The strike they had just witnessed. It bore the unmistakable force of someone who could stand shoulder to shoulder with titans like He Tao and Wu Zhe. That level of might was not something ordinary geniuses could ever hope to reach. Ling Han's gaze swept across them like a blade drawn from its sheath, cold, steady, and merciless. Leave your spatial spirit tools behind, he said, his voice carrying a quiet authority, then get lost. These people had come with greed in their hearts, intent on robbing him. How could he possibly allow them to walk away untouched? Mercy, to such wolves, would only be an insult to himself. Don't go too far, Ji Zhengping roared, fury flashing across his face. Yet the blood still streaming from his shoulder made his defiance hollow, stripping him of any real presence or intimidation. Ling Han merely smiled. calm as still water beneath a stormless sky. "It seems the path you've walked has been too smooth," he said lightly. "To speak such childish words at a time like this, do you even understand your position? In front of me, what do you amount to? If you do not obediently leave your spatial spirit tools behind, then I will kill every last one of you." Xi Jinping's expression twisted, humiliation burning deep in his chest. Yet even as rage surged, a bitter thought surfaced. Had he not used the same threat before? Had he not held the viper poison explosive pill over others, demanding the berserk blood spirit pill under the threat of death? Now the blade had turned. Fairness? In this world, fairness belonged only to the strong. Ha, how ruthless, Xi Jinping spat through clenched teeth. One by one, they removed their spatial rings and threw them onto the ground, their movements stiff with indignation. These were geniuses, men accustomed to trampling others beneath their feet. Never before had they been forced into such humiliation. Sha Yuan too tossed down his spatial ring, preparing to retreat alongside them. Yet, before he could take even a step, Ling Han laughed. "Young Master Sha," he said, amusement laced with cold, killing intent. "Has your head been kicked by a donkey? Did I say you could leave?" Sha Yuan froze. "Ling Han, you truly intend to kill me?" he barked, forcing ferocity into his voice. "Aren't you afraid my father will descend in fury and take your miserable life?" But beneath that bluster, fear coiled like a serpent. Ling Han shook his head slowly. "With a son as deceitful as you," he said, almost casually, "I doubt great General Sha would mind losing one." At that moment, a young man clad in blue stepped forward, his tone cautious. "Sir, you have already gained riches. Why must you be so overbearing?" Ling Han's gaze shifted toward him, sharp and unyielding. "If I slaughtered your entire family," he replied, voice icy, "and then told you they're already dead, don't be so stubborn. Would you accept that?" The words struck like a hammer. Before the man could respond, Ling Han's patience ran dry. "I'll give you 3 breaths," he said coldly. "Leave, or die with him." A terrifying aura surged outward. It was like an ocean unleashed. Vast, crushing, suffocating. Xi Jinping and the others felt their hearts tremble. This was truly the aura of a king tier. How could such a figure tolerate defiance? Their faces drained of all color. Without another word, they turned and fled, not daring to look back. Ling Han had already decided to kill Sha Yuan, a core disciple, the son of a heavenly body tier expert. If he could kill one such figure without hesitation, what difference would a few more lives make? "Don't leave! Save me! Save me!" Sha Yuan cried out in desperation, his voice breaking as terror overwhelmed him. But no one turned back. They fled like frightened beasts, vanishing into the distance. Sha Yuan stood there, abandoned. His body trembled as he slowly turned to face Ling Han. For a moment, silence stretched between them, until suddenly he collapsed to his knees. "Don't kill me," he wailed. "I can be your friend. My father is a heavenly body tier elite. With someone like me as your ally, you won't lose anything." Ling Han chuckled softly. "I truly didn't want to frighten you," he said. "But since you think so highly of yourself, I'd feel guilty if I didn't correct you." He paused, then continued lightly. "As for friends, I happen to know a saint, and in the future, the Empress herself will be my wife. Compared to that, your so-called friendship," he sighed, "I have no interest." Sha Yuan stared, mouth agape. "You must be lying. A saint? That was a being of the Genesis tier, someone who could dominate the world without restraint. And the Empress? That lofty, untouchable sovereign, even his own father could only admire her from afar in secret. What right did Ling Han have to utter such madness? "You're about to die," Ling Han said calmly. "There's no need for me to deceive you. Whether you believe me or not makes no difference." His gaze hardened. "Are you ready?" A chill spread through Sha Yuan's entire body. His legs gave out completely as he knelt there, sobbing uncontrollably. "I don't want to die. I don't want to die." Ling Han raised his hand slowly. "No one wants to die," he said. "But for the sake of your greed, you coveted what was never yours. You sent assassins to hunt me down. Had I lacked the means to resist, my grave would already be overgrown with weeds." His fist descended. Power surged. A single strike. Pa! Sha Yuan's body exploded instantly, reduced to a cloud of blood mist. Flesh, bone, soul, everything was obliterated. Not even a fragment remained. Silence followed. Then, "Hey, handsome," Meng Wei's voice broke through, trembling slightly. Now that you've killed a disciple of the majestic heaven sect, are you planning to kill us too, to keep it secret? Her companions immediately shot her horrified looks. Why would you ask that? We could have just slipped away quietly. Linghan burst into laughter. Relax, he said. I've already let 4 people go. A few more won't make a difference. You're not planning to report me, are you? Meng Wei and the others shook their heads frantically. Of course not. Good. Linghan crouched and collected the spatial rings left behind by Ji Zhengping and the others. One by one, he inspected their contents before storing everything within the Black Tower. If he kept them in his own spatial ring, it could one day expose him as the killer. But the Black Tower was beyond the reach of all. Handsome, this bottle of berserk blood spirit pills is yours, Meng Wei said, handing it over. Linghan smiled. Didn't we agree to split everything equally? You've saved us again, she replied earnestly, and we've already gained so many pill recipes, we've profited enough. As people, we shouldn't be too greedy. Linghan nodded. Very well. He accepted the bottle. After all, in this treasure hunt, he had contributed the most. Taking one extra pill, even if the entire bottle held only a single pill, was hardly excessive. Then we'll take our leave. Meng Wei clasped her hands. After receiving Linghan's nod, she suddenly grinned mischievously. You really don't want some goodbye, SX? Fuck off! Her laughter echoed as she and her group departed. Once they were gone, Linghan and his companions also set off once more. Yet his thoughts had already drifted elsewhere, toward the pill recipes he had just acquired. His cultivation level limited him. Anything above level 5 alchemical pills required an immense divine sense, something even he could not yet fully sustain. However, level 5 itself, that might be possible. His spirit had been tempered endlessly by the indestructible heaven's scroll, far surpassing that of ordinary mountain river tier cultivators. Combined with his attainment at the pinnacle level, he stood on the threshold of possibility. He began to sift through the pill recipes carefully. Then his eyes lit up. Among them was the berserk blood spirit pill recipe itself.